Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Ask Jimmy Smith. Today, I'm going to be addressing a question that I get pretty regularly within the Facebook groups that I manage, on my YouTube channel, and other places that I'm kind of involved in. And so the question that I wanted to answer is for all of those new sellers out there that are just getting into selling on Amazon, that are trying to do replens or trying to do arbitrage of some sort, is what categories can I sell in? It seems like everywhere I go, all the different categories that I look at are ultimately restricted, and I don't know why. Well, there's a few different distinctions that need to be made, but I wanted to bring to you 14 different categories that are unrestricted to new sellers. Now, the distinction that needs to be made is sometimes within these categories, there are going to be subcategories that are restricted, or you might have brands that are restricted for you. And so if you're looking for the most common brands, let's say that you're looking at a product that's made by Nike, or you're looking at Legos, or you're looking at Oreos, whatever it is, you're probably going to be restricted in some of these major national brands. And so part of the training that I go through in my book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, which you can see right here. This is the second edition for anybody that's interested in getting it. But part of that training from that and the course that I've put out a couple years ago is you want to look for products that are either a store private label brand, or you want to look for things that are regional products just in your area. And you also want to niche down into things that ultimately other people typically aren't going to be looking at, right? I mean, if you're looking at Legos, everyone looks at those products. But if you're looking at some small component piece that goes to a washer and dryer that nobody else is really taking the time to look at, that can be an excellent product that you can buy full price and sell for much more money on Amazon. And it can be replenishable for you to buy it over and over again and continue to sell it over and over again. And so hopefully you can take that part away from this video, that maybe I'm looking at brands that are too big. Maybe I'm looking at the national and international brands, and I need to really niche down. I need to look at the regional ones. I need to look at the store brands. I need to look at these different methods. And I teach a lot of that on this YouTube channel, also through the book and the course. So I recommend those things as well, but you can find out a lot of free information on this YouTube channel and at my website, AskJimmySmith.com. Now, let's get into the categories. Let's answer the question of what are those categories that are unrestricted to me as a new seller, and where should I start looking? So the first one that I wanted to bring up is home and kitchen. So home and kitchen can sometimes be separated into two categories. So this actually technically counts as two, because if you're on Amazon, you might see home and kitchen, you might see home, you might see kitchen, you might see home and garden. It's going to be referenced for some reason in different ways within categories whenever you're doing your searches. But the first two are technically home and then kitchen. So I actually have somebody within my course that has done over $100,000 their first year on Amazon just in the home and kitchen category. It's an excellent place to look, and I highly recommend checking it out. The second or the third one that I recommend after home and then kitchen are the first two. The third one is office products. And this one's probably underutilized. It's one that most people don't really think of, or they don't take the time to go through and actually learn about the category itself and look at the different brands and the different products that you can sell. Also the different bundles and varieties that can go together. But office products is an excellent category to check out as well. The fourth one is business, industrial, and scientific. So it's sometimes referred to as BISS, B-I-S-S. And this category has a lot of different kind of random things. It's more like cleaning supplies or trash bags. And it's just kind of, to me, more of a hodgepodge category. But I do recommend, if you don't know where to even start searching for BISS products, you can go to Amazon.com and click on the categories and see the best sellers that are within this BISS, business, industrial, and scientific category. And then that can give you a good feel for the types of products that you might be able to find that fall within that category. The fifth one is sports and outdoors. We sell quite a few sports and outdoors products in our business. Ultimately, think about all the different sports that exist, all the different outdoor activities that exist. There's rock climbing, there's hiking, there's baseball, there's football, there's hockey, there's all of these different things that fall into this category that opens up a wide world of opportunities for you. Now, keep in mind, as I said earlier, you'll have subcategory restrictions in some of these, and definitely brand restrictions. If you're trying to source a Rawlings baseball, most likely you're going to be restricted in Rawlings. So you don't want to be looking for some of the big national brands. You want to look for some of the smaller regional products, maybe even the store brands as well. The sixth one is tools and home improvement. There's a bunch of opportunity in this category, just like there is in any other category on this list. You can think of all the small little local hardware stores that you have that in your area that ultimately probably have wholesale accounts that other national stores don't go after, right? And maybe working with some of those smaller hardware stores in your area, building a relationship with them. They might actually be willing to sell you products at a discount because you're helping them and buying more products in bulk. So this is an excellent place to look as well. Typically, stay away from some of those big stores, stay away from the Lowe's, stay away from the Home Depot, stay away from the Walmarts and the Targets. Obviously there's tons of products in those stores as well, but if you're looking for longer term stability, you want to look at some of the smaller stores that you can actually create, a longer term business model from. So it's up to you. There's a ton of opportunity in all these categories. I personally like the regional stores, the smaller stores, the local stores, the niche stores, but I at least wanted to mention that. So the seventh one is lawn and garden. Now, earlier I said sometimes you'll hear home and garden referred to. Lawn and garden, I'm not really sure why you'll see home and garden and you'll also see lawn and garden, but lawn and garden is a specific category where obviously there's more things like hoses and there's gloves and there's all these different things that go into lawn and garden. Typically in the Christmas season, right? The holiday season throughout, we've got multiple throughout the year, the inflatables and the lights and all the decorations many times go into the lawn and garden category. It can also be considered outdoors. So that's kind of like a bonus one if you can specifically look in the outdoors category, but typically lawn and garden is the main one. The eighth category is arts and crafts. So there's a ton of different arts and crafts stores that exist out there that you can go source their store brands. You can go source their smaller brands. I believe that this is underutilized as well because so many people don't really take the time to look at it. Ultimately, there's a ton of opportunity in all of these categories, but arts and crafts, there's so many different niche component pieces that you could go source and find a pretty good, stable replens business from that. The ninth one is musical instruments. And if you really think about musical instruments, I know it's underutilized because Walmart doesn't typically have like a musical instruments section or anything. And you're also not going to be selling trumpets and violins in most cases. You're going to be selling the smaller pieces that go with it, right? Maybe the things that are small enough to fit in a box and send to Amazon to where they're not a huge size and not a lot of fees. You're going to be looking for those smaller component pieces, maybe like strings for a violin or little pieces that go into a trumpet. Those types of things, you've got a lot of opportunities. So I recommend go to a local music store in your area and check that out. See if there are any brands that you could buy and sell because it's got a lot less competition and it's also open for you. Again, you might have brands you're restricted in, but ultimately this is a category that I've seen on the interwebs be ungated. And so I highly recommend checking it out. The 10th one is luggage and travel accessories. Now, within luggage and travel accessories, you might see things like backpacks, like Nike backpacks and Adidas backpacks that you're going to be restricted in because of the brand name. But if you think of luggage, I'm not just talking about suitcases that you take with you. I'm talking about the travel accessories as well. There's a ton of travel accessories that exist out there. So I recommend checking that piece of the category out also. The 11th one is shoes, handbags, and sunglasses. So most people will lump clothing and shoes together. I believe technically they are separate categories, but shoes, we have sold those in the past. You've got to deal with variations, which I made a video on my channel for how to read Keepa variations and make a decision based off of what the Keepa charts are showing you. But you're gonna have to deal with variations with shoes because there's so many different sizes and colors for those. And you're also gonna run into brand restrictions there. But many stores have their own private label brand of shoes that you could potentially find and sell. So I highly recommend checking that out. It's a little bit more nuanced once you get into things with variations, but ultimately it is an unrestricted category for you. Handbags, we've sold some in. Sunglasses, I'm not sure if we've ever done that, but ultimately there are opportunities there as well. The 12th one is clothing and accessories. So clothing, you're gonna have to deal with the same variation issues, but it's an excellent category to get into if you really wanted to learn the variation side of things and get into the clothing and shoes categories combined, because there's a higher average selling price typically because they're more expensive, but you have to deal with more returns because things that don't fit, people are going to return more. So there's pros and cons to to that. Again, you're going to be dealing with some brand restrictions, but I recommend checking that out as well. The 13th one, and one that I don't personally love from a replen standpoint, but from an arbitrage perspective, where you can buy something for $1 and make a good amount of money on it, is books. So the 13th one is books. That is an open category to new sellers. And we don't do a ton of it because we focus just on replenishable products. But if you're looking to buy some clearance books and sell them used, or you're looking for whatever reason, maybe you've got a wholesale account with a book distributor, there might be opportunities there as well for you. Books is an open category that I recommend checking out. And then the 14th one is a little bit of an odd one because I didn't think that this was open, but in my research, I've seen multiple times that pet supplies is a category that's open to new sellers. However, it excludes food and pet care. So there are certain pet products that you can sell within that category, but there are definitely subcategories and brands that you will be restricted in the pet supplies niche. And technically a 15th one, which I don't recommend anyone selling in from an arbitrage standpoint, is consumer electronics and those types of products because they have a higher return rate. They have counterfeit claim issues. They're just, to me, not worth selling unless you're making a complete business out of selling electronics and you've got a website established for that and you're doing wholesale. But that's one that's also technically open that I typically don't recommend selling in due to the other issues. And then I do have one category that I recommend that you get ungated in. And so this category is one that I typically recommend new sellers right out the gate. If you're serious about this, just get ungated in this category. There's tons of videos on YouTube, and I might do one in the future on how to get ungated in things, whether it's brands or specific categories. But the grocery and gourmet foods category is an excellent one to get ungated in. Ultimately, you've got so many different regional and local and niche products that fall within that grocery category that it's worth doing it. And the basic process is you find a distributor that sells legitimate products and you buy 10 of one item, at least 10 of one item, and then you turn in that invoice to Amazon and they will ungate you for that product. I recommend it being a product that's on the Amazon platform already. So it's easy enough for you or for Amazon to legitimize what you are saying that you purchased on a wholesale basis. Again, it has to be 10 at least of one product, not 10 different products in one of each of those. You need one product that you bought 10 of. And if you can resell those items on Amazon, even at break even, it's worth it because ultimately it opens up a whole wide world of products for you that you could potentially sell on the platform. Again, you're going to have branding, gating issues and subcategory issues, but ultimately that's a good one to get into because there's so much opportunity for new sellers. But if you don't want to go through that process, eventually you'll get opened up for that category. Once you become a good established seller on Amazon, you've been on the platform for a while, you've got some reviews, you can sell plenty of products in these other 14 categories that I just mentioned and do a very good job doing that. And then eventually Amazon will open up more categories, more brands, more subcategories for you to just sell in automatically. And so I wanted to make this video to kind of dispel the myth that there's nothing that you can sell on as a new seller in Amazon because there's so much opportunity. And I highly recommend taking the time to just do a deep dive on these 14 different categories and taking a look at what you can sell. Again, as a new seller, I understand that there are frustrations that you might still have some brand or subcategory restrictions in here. But ultimately these categories from my research are the ones that opened. Amazon can change those from time to time, or maybe some of the research that I've looked at has been wrong for whatever reason. Please let me know in the comments below. Is this list accurate? Is this something that you've seen be accurate with your account? Also, are there other categories that ultimately you have seen be unrestricted for you that you would like to mention to other people? I saw 4 or 5 other ones also that said they were unrestricted, but they've got a lot more subcategory restrictions. I'm going to list them for you. I don't believe you should spend the time doing anything in these categories because I thought that they were restricted completely. But I wanted to mention them because I've seen it on a few different websites that these are open, but with a lot of subcategory and brand restrictions. And so the 4 or 5 are 1, baby, 2, beauty, 3, health and personal care, 4 was toys, and 5 was video games. So again, there's going to be a lot of subcategory restrictions. I wanted to mention it for the purposes of this video. You have plenty of opportunity with those other 14 open categories though. And I highly recommend taking the time to just dive deep on each of those. So thank you so much for watching this. I ask that you like this video, you share it, you subscribe to the channel. As you subscribe, it helps get the word out to more people. It helps helps me to know that I'm doing a good job in answering the questions that you have. And again, please post comments on this so that I know how I can help you further to grow your Amazon business and your other streams of income online and offline. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day and that you have a blessed rest of your week.